Being a dad is hard. It's high stakes. It takes a toll on our self-worth, mental health, and can be lonely. But why would we ever want to do something so important in isolation? Legacy Makers, a conversation for dads, is quite simply two normal dads having conversations about, you guessed it, being a dad. The highs, the lows, and the learnings along the way. We are four dads. We want to remedy the deficiency we see in community for dads, and we want to ruthlessly encourage dads on their journey to build lasting legacy for the faces they love the most. All right, before we got rolling, we were talking about shoes, so I just want to make sure that it's Kevin owns more shoes than Laura, which is I'm surprised by that, but we'll confirm that.
Fair, I mean, Laura works at the hospital, so like a lot of just scrubs and tennis shoes, so.
But your job requires a lot of different shoes.
I mean, It's...
All right. Well, listen, what I want to, today, I want to talk about the long game. So, which it's crazy because you think about this like snap of your fingers, this window that you do have with your kids. It goes fast, but the reality is we've got 18 years before they really start to potentially get out of the house and go away. And there's tension. There's tension between I am trying to raise a full human that is emotionally intelligent, that's confident, all the things you want in your child, with, man, some of the just frustration that happens, different, ages, it's different seasons that happens like in the day, the mundane of the day, right? And I want to talk about that because I need some encouragement on this. And it's something I've been wrestling around with and trying to really like push myself to not be so frustrated with right now and keep my eyes out on the horizon. Right. So one of my girls, she's tough. She's really challenging. Just I think it's normal, but just behaviorally with me, she just like knows that I have zero control. Like I have zero influence, like authority.
She smells weakness.
She smells it, sees it, senses it. She's like, this guy. Brittany can walk her to bed. It's bedtime. Brittany's back 2 minutes later. I come back. I look like that old Chris Farley meme. My hair's all messed up. It's been an hour. Like, I'm just like, what is, she's like, Brittany's like, what is wrong? Like, I'm like, I can't, she's just hard, man. And there's, we're working on some things with her, but I keep trying to remind myself, like, this is something that I've got to manage. I got to push through. But our kid, there's always moments like this with our kids, right? Like, and we've got to, as dads, we have to stay encouraged for the long game versus saying, all right, this season is going to define me as a dad. And there's some, okay, am I a bad dad? Am I doing the wrong thing? Like, but I just think we need to kind of talk about this. Like, how do we stay encouraged and persistent about the long game with our
Let me give you my example of this. So the other night, tried to put our oldest to bed. There was a lot of yelling. Yeah. I walk back into our bedroom and Laura looks at me and she's like, Are you proud of that? Are you proud of that? And let me tell you what I'm not proud of. My next line to Laura, which is, nowhere else in my life do people tell me what to do. I will not be told what to do by our 6-year-old son. Like, I am not going to be. And, obviously it was a bad moment for me. But I think in those moments, it is really easy to just get frustrated and to feel like nothing is going right.
Totally.
So
totally right.
I like this idea of taking the long view of it.
Yeah. It's just like a daily thing. Same thing. I think it's got me, and it's not just the other day. I think I've said this multiple times, and Brittany's like had enough of me. Something to the effect of like,
I can't wait, man.
I have no peace in this house. Like, no peace in this house. And then she obviously, like, I think I'm like venting to her, and then now she's taking it personally, as she should.
I'm sorry, this home is not what you
exactly.
Need.
Like, go back to Dallas at the Hilton Garden Inn, right? Like, or whatever, right? So then it becomes like, and that's the other thing. Like, if we're not careful, this spills over into relationships with our spouse, relation. If you have multiple kids and you're having a challenge with one kid, then it's like the other kids. Like, so anyway, this
we're joking, but if you don't get a hold of that, you also run into the situation where you start to subconsciously or consciously be like, man, I can't wait for this trip. I
Correct.
Can't wait to, that's just not a.
And you start feeling bad for yourself. Like you've got this, like, it's a spiral. So this notion of shifting like daily frustration over to, all right, it's a long-term formation conversation. And I think it's important for us because I would imagine many dads that are listening to this are falling into this frustration trap that we're talking about.
Okay, so let me ask you, I want to do a professional comparison here.
Okay.
Just of how that. So in the professional world, in our jobs, we have both long-term goals that we're able to measure against, but there are short-term leading indicators versus lagging indicators where we're able to see, are we making progress?
Yes.
I totally agree with you with the principle of we need to take the long view. We don't need this, but how do we combat, again, when we're raising kids, how do we find those short-term moments to be able to measure, like, is my kid going to be crazy? Are we like, am I going to fail in this instance? How do you do that?
I think you have to first, you can't make that assessment when in the middle of a tantrum or in the middle of bedtime that's going terrible. Like you have to, like, because here's what I'll do. I will then, it's almost like this belief bias of this is how it always is. They are always this way. But really when you zoom back out, you're like, hold on a second. Teachers are not saying that there's an issue at school or, like there's other, I watch them, interact with their friends but all of a sudden when you're frustrated, like your belief bias kicks in and you're just like, you use very concerning words, meaning like the always thing.
Yeah.
There's always. It's like, that's not accurate, but that's a very, you don't want to paint
they
that.
They never listen. And
then that narrative's in your mind and then they can go for 2 days and have a really strong couple days of behaving and no issues, but the second they go back, it's like, here we go again. And then if your child is hearing that, they're going to start believing that that's who they are. Well, yeah, I'm just bad. We have to be really careful about that. I think the other thing is, for me, it's now really, in my mind, I was like, why should I just be telling her like, you did so good at bedtime. You're supposed to go to bed. You're 5 years old. Like, this. Why are you, reverting back to being 2 years old, but like praising, like even the things that the behavior we want to see, like overdoing it. So they see the importance of the right way.
I know down the road, we're going to have our friend David Salyers on a podcast. When he would talk about this, he would talk about praising like the character that shouldn't change and criticizing the actions, basically not criticizing their character. So he would say if a kid comes in and they were mean to their brother or sister, not saying like, why are you always a bad brother or sister? Or why are you saying, this is how he'd flip it. He'd say, I know that you're a great brother or you're a great sister. Because I know that what you're doing right now is not okay. Like, why is there a gap here? And I think, so praising and anchoring on long-term character and criticizing short-term actions or outbursts is probably a better way to do that.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
So like when you're saying at bedtime, like it's not, it's always bad at bedtime. It's, hey, I know that you can do this so many times. You do this really well. Like, what's the issue right now?
Yeah, I think that's really good. We've talked a little bit about, I don't know if this is the right name for it, but we'll call it performance parenting.
Oh, man.
I put something out on my Instagram recently where we've got to resist the urge where every public moment feels like, hey, we're doing well or we're doing bad. Like it almost just like, because there's perhaps it's like on a stage in our minds because there's people watching versus in the house. We almost, overemphasize behavior in public, right? And
well, I'm curious why we do that, because I objectively can look and say, like, I can go to the ballpark and see these guys trying to live out their failed sports dreams to their kids, and objectively be like, this is sad, this is pathetic. And then I watched last night my kid win a swim meet against kids who probably can't even swim, and like he's winning, and I feel not only am I just happy for him though, but I feel this like, oh, this reflects it. Like I'm happy because he did this, and then turn around and when the kids aren't performing well, I view it as a reflection of who I am. Why do we do that?
I think probably some people are more apt to feel that way, like based on how they're wired. I think both you and I, affirmation is important. We want to be liked. And it's not like that's a normal thing. I think that there's an ego that is at play. We all have egos. And sometimes it's, if our child is acting up or causing their behavior is even disrupting people around them, it just drums up even more. It's like, it's a reflection, good or bad. Like to your point, the swim meets are, I think we have to be careful to not allow not just our children, but like anybody's perspective of us to stick to us. Like, I think we have to be really firm and this is who I am. And if my child's great or bad, it doesn't matter. Nothing changes on who I am. We have to be really rooted and firm in that. But there's definitely a tension that we feel when, oh my gosh, my kid is a disaster in public and now everyone's going to think I'm a bad dad. Like, it really comes back to the ego. Like, what are people thinking about me because of my child?
You're spot on. So I think that's a principle we need to anchor onto first here is like, we need to be confident in who we are as individuals.
Yep.
And we are not defined by the limited behavior of our child.
Right.
But we're also not even defined. We're really not defined by them at all.
No.
But at the same time, we need to be making sure that we're parenting based on what's right for them, what's important for their character, not based on, are they going to do something that's going to make us look good or not do something that makes us look bad?
Correct. And not worry about what it's going to, how are we going to be seen? Is this convenient? We've talked about that before. That's a big one for me. I mean, this is going to be a great night. We're going to have a movie night as a family. I'm getting ready to travel. Like, I'm excited. We're going to anchor to this thing. We're all going to sit together. And sure enough, Evelyn has a tantrum. She's not acting right. And my reaction is like, okay, let's calm this down. Yeah. Everything's going to be fine. Yes, you still get your candy. Just sit down. And Brittany's like, no, you don't get your candy. You're going. And she, and next thing you know, now we don't have a movie night. Now the whole family's not together. And the convenient thing was what I was trying to do is just try to calm the situation down. And like Brittany's like, no, we're not doing that. So like, it's not always going to be convenient.
Well, I think that point, there are a lot of times I think about an overreaction in public of me because the kid has done something wrong. But I also, what you're saying is sometimes there is an underreaction or there is a lack of us giving the appropriate discipline or constructive feedback because we don't want to be inconvenienced. We were excited about the night. Mm-hmm. And so now we don't get to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I realized though? I even say that to them sometimes, like, you just ruined our night.
Yep.
Or you ruined, look, this was going to be fun. And now you have,
yeah,
that's, I found myself saying something the other day. One of these situations happened. And I made a statement to George, and then this light bulb came on in my head. I said, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And
by the way, we've all said
that. But I'm speaking into him something like, this is not, you did something wrong. That was all true, but I spoke into his life. He should feel ashamed because of the opinions of other people, basically.
Yeah, it's something for us all to really be thoughtful of because those, in isolation a couple times, I mean, there's moments where that's really important to probably be able for them to feel and hear because of a bad decision. But what could happen if it becomes more frequent is then now that's their identity. Like they're going to own that. They're going to wear that. Like, and we have to be really careful. And I've seen, my kids, especially they've gotten older, really react to words like that, and I can see it in their eyes, and I can just feel terrible about it afterwards. Yep. And so I think we have to just remember that this is, it's like you don't judge a book by its cover. You don't judge, this is a long-term thing. Like this moment is not going to define who they are. This season is not, it's the long-term thing. We have to stay focused on that, or else
so good.
The frustration can mount.
Let's anchor just for a second there on that. I think rooted in this a lot is the opinions of others.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a coach that talked about what he called the 4 core emotions: mad, glad, sad, and afraid. And then he added this 5th emotion, which was shame. And he said that we're born with these 4. When we're babies, we experience being mad, being sad, being glad, and being afraid. Shame is something we develop later as we become aware of the opinions of other people and we're governed by them. How do we, I'm trying to think about how do I keep that in check to not make decisions that are completely governed by the opinions of others. Because if I'm going to be better, it's going to be easier for me to take the long view if I'm not caring about what this person thinks in the short term.
Yeah, philosophically, I try to remind myself, and this is something Brittany and I have had conversations about, that you have to take the action of the child and set it aside. To your point, what David was giving you, this is not who they are as a person. I mean, the prefrontal cortex, which is basically the decision-making part of the brain, isn't even fully developed until 25, right? And kids are at different stages of that development. And so when your 5, 6, 8, 12-year-old has done something, our reaction oftentimes is driven by, you have done this on purpose, or you have done this to me or to the family, or you have caused this. You have to just remind yourself that your job is to help them develop and help them learn and help them have these experiences so they can know the right thing. Take the emotion out of it, set the action aside. This is not their fault. We've got to make sure they understand right from wrong. But that is my thing with, for me, my temper can get going and I can forget that this is not my child, who their identity. It's a bad decision, but they're supposed to make bad decisions. This is the time, because they're not fully developed. They don't understand right from wrong all the time. Their emotions are all over the place. Their hormones are coming in. So you just have to have this amazing amount of grace and understanding and awareness that this is supposed to happen. They're supposed to have that tantrum. They're supposed to go take something from the candy store and put it in their pocket. And you got to teach them that. They're supposed to have moments at school where maybe they misbehaved and you have to correct that. They're not perfect. Yep. They're not going to be perfect. But that's the biggest thing for me, is that reminder.
Okay. 2 things you've anchored on that I think are key. 1, resisting belief bias. Yep. So resisting, I had not heard that before, by the way, till you said that. But just this idea of what they're doing now is what they always do. So resist belief bias. Number 2, resist performance parenting.
Yeah.
And then I think that the action we need to take is we need to zoom out. Our perspective needs to be broad enough that we can see a longer view. Summertime, the end of school year, we get report cards in the mail, or not in the mail now, they come digitally, but I remember multiple times this year seeing a report that felt like that day was a bad day, that week was a bad week, the behavior was bad. But when you look in aggregate of the year, I'm really proud of what happened. Beyond a report card, how else can we intentionally zoom out?
Yeah. I like this idea of a vision letter or, a gift for them when they're 18. Maybe it's a high school graduation, that you're basically writing a letter to your future 18-year-old. And maybe you never give it to them, but you're writing down this is who you are. This is what you're going to be. This is what I love about you. Just to almost remind yourself that this is what they're building to. There's also a couple things that I've been thinking about as in my situation with Evelyn around my mindset shifts. and by no means am I perfect, but it's something that I've actually written these down and try to remind myself, because it's been hard, man. It's just been hard. But like this whole notion of from control to cultivation, like I am not in control of this, but I'm trying to cultivate an experience. I'm trying to cultivate a peaceful home. I'm trying to cultivate my reactions, so I'm not like going from the adult down to like a 5-year-old emotionally with her bantering back and forth, right? Like, so that's one. Shifting my mind, as we've kind of been talking about, from like outcome based to this is an opportunity. So instead of like, this is, you know, you messed up, I can't believe you're doing this, like this outcome that she has, but it's an opportunity to take a step back. Like, how do you talk to her in that moment? How do you try to view it as like, I get to go teach her right now, which is important because this is going to be beneficial to her long term. And then the third thing is performance to presence. So look, man, like part of it's, I just need to be present in this. I need to not be offended, not be inconvenienced, but how do I shift those mindsets, right? It's like, you know, I have to versus get to. It's like they're little unlocks, and some days I'm better than others, but...
So hit me with a 3 again. From control to cultivate.
Outcome to opportunity. And performance to presence.
Yeah. And that last one resonates with me because sometimes I just need to be there, and it's my timeline, my things I want to do. I want to get them into bed so I can do this, that I am trying to control.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't mean I don't need to give correction. It doesn't mean there should be consequences for those actions, but sometimes just slowing down and being there, I think is really key. Yeah.
2 things for me closing out. I think first, we have to remember legacy is not built in one day. No. It's built daily, consistently over time. And the other thing is just be good to yourself. That like notion of having grace and kindness with yourself. You cannot judge your parenting by one day or a couple month season. It's the long game, right? I mean, it's like, I always kind of think about a 401k or a stock market performance. Like, there are lulls, but if over time, if you're doing the right things, like, it's going to be all upside. So that's what I would leave, just to encourage dads. Share this with somebody who might need to hear it, because, you know, it's not perfect, and that's okay. Be okay with that.
That's good. I like it. I think the encouragement for dads, take the long view.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to Legacy Makers with Kevin Scott and Eric Blumenthal. Make sure you download and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. All rights reserved.